Who are the best small forwards in the NBA? Well, today on the Bobblehead Sports Show, we're going to be discussing that, starting with Aaron Neesmith. So, Smasher, give us his stats.
Yeah, Neesmith on the season averaging 12, 3, 1, and 1 with point 0.7 blocks. He's been pretty good, sharing minutes with Obi Toppin and Buddy Hield, but he's reigned supreme as a starter. What's everyone's thoughts on him?
I think he's a very solid C tier role player. He's efficient, shoots good from three. You can get a lot of assists off him, as we have seen. I just put him in C, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
solid
no,
role
that makes
player. Belongs in C, I think. Is much better on the list, and there's probably much worse on the list.
Yeah, his stats are pretty league average to below league average. As this list goes on, he'll probably end up mid to low C. Yeah.
yeah.
Real.
Next up, we got Bojan Bogdanovic, Pistons starting small forward, a veteran on the team, averaging 24, 3, 1, and point 0.1 blocks. Scores a lot. He reminds me a lot of Jeremy Grant. Yeah, he's a straight bucket, but he doesn't do much else other than that.
Yeah, I like Bobby. I do. I think he's a very solid vet. He's very important to the Pistons, for them to, not lose 40 in a row. But I think he's pretty good. I'd put him in B tier. Maybe as this list goes along, he moves down to the bottom of B tier, but I think he's pretty solid.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can agree with that. B tier is where he belongs, I think.
Yeah,
I saw him play against the Celtics, the game before they broke their win streak, and he was a bucket that game. Belongs in B tier.
I think
he
he'll
can
end
go.
up at about what Aiden said he will. Bottom of B.
Better
Yeah,
than a role
next,
player, but
next
not a
up,
star.
next up, we got another role player on the Cavs, Karis LeVert. 16 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, and point 0.4 blocks. One of the better defenders in the league, but not very efficient from the field.
I think because of his counting stats and his defense, despite his efficiencies being much worse than Neesmith, I think we could put him above Neesmith on C tier, but I would never put him above Bobby. He's definitely worse than him.
Yeah, definitely
No,
below
definitely most.
Bojan.
Yep.
Next up, we got DeAndre Hunter. He's been injured for about, I don't know, the last 10 games now, but before that, 15 points, 4 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and 1 steal with point 0.4 blocks. Again, a decent defender, but he's a bit inefficient from the field. He's good from 3, but not as great around the rim.
Yeah, he's a similar player to Neesmith in that regard. They shoot a lot of threes. They're good from three, but that's kind of the only reason why you have him around. I
I
think
would like
just
to.
because of his injuries and because he hasn't been a winning player, I guess you could say, I'd probably put him below Neesmith, honestly.
I'd argue potentially D tier, but I think his defense is enough to put him C tier. But I agree.
I was gonna say
Definitely below
I was
Neesmith.
gonna say in between Levert and Neesmith, but
I feel like he's better than Neesmith, just because Neesmith's got a bit more athleticism.
But you say he's better than Neesmith?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, no. He's worse than Neesmith because Neesmith has better athleticism.
Honestly, either side of Neesmith doesn't matter to me. I think
Yeah.
they're both C tier. You can move around.
they're close enough in players to where I'd be
Yeah.
comfortable either side of them.
Well, the next guy we've got, DeMar DeRozan. 22 points, 4 rebounds, 5.4 assists, 1 steal, zero point 0.7 blocks. He's, again, I've watched him a lot because I'm a Bulls fan, and defense has always been his lacking point. He's not a great defender for a small forward. In my opinion, he is a lot like Bogey.
Yeah, honestly, I was about to say his stats sound very similar.
I think he's
Yeah.
better than Bogey.
He's definitely
like,
better than Bogey.
not
Definitely the best
really
person we've
better.
had so far.
I would,
He'll
if I was gonna put him in a tier, I'd put him in A, but like very low A. He's done a lot of good things in his career. He's pretty solid. The assist numbers aren't bad. The steals aren't bad. His efficiency isn't great, but it never really has
I think
been.
it's that the
I'd
three-point
put him in
efficiency is
A.
a lot better this season. 35% isn't bad for someone like him that takes a lot of mid-ranges.
Yeah.
Um, I'll say A. I'm low
Yeah.
A.
yeah, he'll end up at the
Low
bottom.
A.
He's definitely
Yeah.
when you look at it, he definitely is better than Bogey.
Yeah.
Probably a tier better, but only just. Next, you've got one of the guys on the worst team in the league, arguably, Denny of Dia. He averages 12, 6, 4, 1 steal with point 0.3 blocks. He's, again, a very big small forward, 6'9". Not great from 3, but shoots 50% from the field.
I coming into the season, I had hopes for Denny Avdija. I thought he would break out. And I just don't think he's very good. Honestly, I think we've just come to the conclusion he's not very good at basketball. I'd put him probably below DeAndre Hunter. I could see him high D, but I think low C is probably where he still belongs. He's still got
I mean,
potential, but like,
when
damn.
I think potential-wise, I'm putting him like high C, but looking at his just straight stats from this year, I would argue for a high D.
Yeah, I think we're going based on
Yeah,
current. I'd put him high D.
I agree with D.
Yeah, I
Alright,
really hoped
Maybe
he would
move to
break
the tier
out.
later in his
Just
career.
didn't happen.
it's a shame. Next up, we got Desmond Bain, the star of the Grizzlies now that Ja is injured for the season again. 25 points, 5 rebounds, about 5.5 assists, a steal, and 0.6 blocks. He's worse than he was last season. Worse field goal percentage, worse 3-point percentage, but he's still a really good player.
I love me some Desmond Bain. I just I don't think I could put him in S tier because he's not really like an S tier type of player, but he could be the first guy in A tier for me. I really like Desmond Bain. I think he brings a
I
lot to the table.
He definitely has a
I'm a bit
slight edge
lower on
on
him.
DeRozan. He's definitely above DeRozan. I don't know how high in A tier he'll end up, but he's definitely above DeRozan.
I don't think he's high A tier, but I do think he's better than DeRozan just because even if his 3-ball splits are around the same as DeRozan right now, I know that Desmond Bain will recover as the season goes on and shoot better than DeRozan.
Honestly, looking at the list, he could be the lowest in S tier, but I think he'll stay highest in A tier.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Dylan Brooks, a defensive menace.
S tier.
14 points, 3.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, no blocks. He's been out for a couple games now, but he's again really good at defense, and he's been efficient this year.
He kind of reminds me of Draymond Green.
Really good at defense with
He
0
he
blocks.
he
Draymond
does
Green,
remind me of Draymond Green, especially with his three
smaller.
ball being pretty decent. Prime Draymond's three ball was pretty good. I kind of want to do something drastic here and say maybe put him in low B, but
I
like I don't know how
fully
you guys
agree.
feel about that.
I
I think low
fully
is a
agree.
spot for him. He's a little more than a role player, I think.
I'll voice my
I
opinion and
just
say I think high C, but everyone agrees on low B. So
I think
been there.
his mental game in this league is great. It doesn't always work, and when it fails spectacularly. But sometimes it can work, man. It can work.
Yeah.
Next up, we got one of the big men on the Magic, Franz Wagner, 6'10" from Germany. 21 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 0.4 blocks.
And just
Decent from the field, awful from 3.
just like the entirety of the Magic cannot shoot from 3.
Yes, he has been very bad from 3. But I'm a very big fan of him. He reminds me a lot of, honestly, Kyle Kuzma. I'd be putting him low B.
Honestly, I would put him
Possibly
low
would be.
A.
I was gonna
I think
say
he I think he does more than just his numbers. I've seen him just explode. He has to compete for a lot of these post touches and stuff like that with Paulo, and the spacing isn't really always there, but he can do a lot of things on the court. I like him low A.
I think
I'll
he's
shift to high B, but like
I think
I'll
he's
push for high B.
just I think he's just on the cusp of A, not quite in A yet. At that high
when I
B
compare
tier.
him to DeRozan, I think DeRozan's still got that slight edge.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of experience, but like Franz Wagner's definitely pushing on A.
I think
the
in
next
another
couple
year or
seasons.
two, yeah, he'll be in the A tier.
Yeah, he's definitely got very high potential with his frame and all. Next up, we've got Gordon Hayward, again being injured a lot this year, like he always is. 15 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists with a steal and half a block. Pretty inefficient.
I mean,
I
I
think
don't, he's been through a lot, but like, damn, he might just be like a high C type of guy right now. I mean,
I would argue he's worse than Carousel Vert
I think you could definitely argue that, and he's on
because
a
Carousel
huge
Vert has the
contract.
defense.
Damn.
Yeah, I'd be putting him. I think he's still slightly better than Neesmith, but Neesmith's better value, obviously, with his contract. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, yeah,
I can agree with that
like
placement.
slots in about there.
Yep.
Next is a man everyone loves to hate, including me.
No, I love this guy.
I hate Grayson Allen, but you cannot deny what he's done with the Suns this season. 14 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, point 0.6 blocks. Again, being very efficient from 3. Like 47% is ridiculous. I hate him, but like, hear me out. I'd be putting him in B tier.
I think that's where he belongs. He's more
I
than a role
think I
player.
think I think Lobie is right. He cooked the Heat, and he can have these super explosive games
I
sometimes. And
would
he's a
still
great
put him
shooter.
below
Above or
Dylan
below
Brooks.
Brooks? Okay.
I'd put him below just because Brooks'
Yeah.
defense.
Yeah, I
But
think I agree.
like Grayson Allen, he's having a season.
Yeah, a couple 30-point
Um,
games already.
Yeah, he has gone off in some games. Next up we've got Harrison Barnes. 11 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 0.7 steals, and 0.2 blocks. He used to be very good. These are numbers
Emphasis on
when
used
you
to
look at
be.
them. He's all right efficiency. I'd be putting him low C. It's a
I
high
put him
D.
in D. I don't think he's
I
very
think he's
good at
better than
basketball
Denny
anymore.
Avdia.
Is he though?
Yeah, I
Yes,
think
because
he belongs in
efficiency.
D. I mean, even if it's high
He's
D,
only slightly better in efficiency than Denny. But I think he is better than Denny.
I don't even think he is better than Denny. Not gonna lie to you.
Actually,
I think
Not
I
gonna
just
lie
looked
to
at his
you.
rebounds. I just looked at his rebounds and assists, and
Not gonna lie. I think
Yeah.
yeah,
he's
he might
below
actually be
Denny.
worse than Denny Avdia. Yeah,
yeah, he's got some
that's
stinkers.
I'm
he's
so
having a
tempted to just
stinker
I'm
this
so
year.
tempted to stick him in F.
Nah.
No,
He's
I
not
think there's some
that
more.
bad. Next up, we got Jaden McDaniels. 11, 2.5, 1.2, 0.8 steals, 0.6 blocks. The counting stats don't look great, but he is a really good defender. Which helps with the Timberwolves system. But again, the points, rebounds, assists aren't great.
yeah,
I'd put him in C tier.
I feel like he's kind of regressed from what he was last year. I feel like he's gotten a little bit worse. He reminds me kind of just like a worse Dylan Brooks right now. I think I'd put him high C, maybe.
I think mid C. I don't know if
I'd
he's high.
argue,
Yeah.
I'd honestly argue
Well, His
better than
his
DeAndre
defense
Hunter.
is incredible. He's a really good defender. He's one of the reasons why
I'd
they have such
argue
an incredible defense over there.
he's either side of Neesmith.
Me and Smash
You
are on
know,
the
I'd
same
put him
page
above
today.
Neesmith. I'd put him above Neesmith just because the Timberwolves are really good and they're really good defensively, partly because of him.
Yeah, but I think that's the perfect placement for him.
Yep.
Next, we've got probably one of the stars of this list. Jalen Can't Go Left Brown. 24 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.1 steals, and 0.6 blocks. 50% from 3 and 36. 50% from the field, 36% from 3, with a really good plus minus. But that's what comes with being on the Celtics.
Honestly, tonight his performance tonight, 35 and 11 rebounds, and he
I
was
still don't
rebounding
think
in the
he's.
clutch. I think he might be S.
I think when you compare him to all the players in the league, he's like a low A tier player. But when you look at all the small forwards, I think he might be a low S.
I'm just thinking, like, would I rather have him or Desmond Bain?
Yeah, I'm having the same dilemma right
I
now.
would much rather Jalen Brown, in my opinion, which is why I'd go S tier.
I think you're too low on Desmond Bain.
I
Desmond
love
Bain is
Desmond
really
Bain,
good,
but
but
like Jalen Brown's a different guy.
Is
He
he?
does a little bit of everything for
Their
you.
numbers
If
are
he goes
almost
in S, he
identical.
will be the last player in S.
Their numbers are almost
probably.
identical.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking last player in
Yeah.
S because they are very similar.
yeah. Honestly, Desmond.
Yeah, I'll put him in there. Obviously,
He might get
a
bumped.
lot of the
He,
good
he
stats come with.
he might get bumped to top of A as this list goes on.
Uh,
We'll see.
Our next player is
Honestly, wouldn't mind him.
Herb Jones. 11 points, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.3 steals, and 1 block. I think, based on his defense alone, he has a B tier floor.
Oh, his defense is really good, but Jaden McDaniels' defense is also really good. He's sitting middle of C right now.
But I think his defense is better than Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah, but how much better? Enough to bring him up a full tier?
I mean, yeah, but he's averaging like 0.7 more steals and a good like 0.5 more blocks, and he's got a slightly better plus minus, and he's shooting slightly more efficiency.
I'd say put him between Haywood and Neesmith or McDaniels.
No,
I think
I
him
would
and
argue
McDaniels are extremely similar players. I think they're just in different situations.
Herb Jones at worst is the top of C.
I mean, just these counting stats are not that impressive, man. I mean,
But 1.3 steals on 1 block with a good plus minus on a pretty bad team. Obviously, the Pelicans aren't awful, but they're not.
good plus minus.
They're
I
not.
mean, it's 2.4. That's not that good. I mean,
It's still positive.
it's fine. And we're talking about like the Pelicans are bad, like they're not 23 and 15.
I'll retreat 1 and I'll put him there.
Yeah. Sure, I'm fine
James,
with
what
that.
do you
I'll
think?
compromise with that.
Honestly, I think it's pretty much the right spot. Anywhere in the top of C tier is pretty good for him.
Anywhere above
Next up,
McDaniels.
we've got another one of the superstars on this list, Jimmy Butler. 21 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, and 0.4 blocks. Again, has not played in like 10 games now.
He's been injured all year.
But he was, again, we know him from his playoff run last year, and his playoff run every year. Even if he's not the best in the regular season, he can turn it on. So at worst, he's A tier. At absolute worst. And I think he could be S.
I would put him in S very easily.
You're a Heat
I think you might be a
fan.
little biased, but
Yeah,
I think it's closer than you think.
I
for
honestly-
S
I
and
think
A.
it's close, but
Nah,
like,
it's not. I can tell you're just looking at if you're looking at early season Jimmy Butler stats, he's not even a real player yet. He doesn't even try until like
the thing
later
is,
in the season.
I'm just not
This
sure.
is what he
It's
does
about
every year.
it's him versus Jalen Brown. Obviously, we know Jimmy Butler's much better in the playoffs, but regular season, is Jimmy's defense enough to put him over Jalen Brown?
I think it might
I would
be.
argue yes.
I think yeah.
So I would
Jimmy Butler also
put
has a
him
clutch gene. You
at
gotta
high
remember that.
S.
He
Derek
does.
White
He
has
does.
a clutch gene.
Yeah, but you gotta remember Jimmy Butler does have a walk off this season already, and he's only played like 20 games.
So I think limited sample size, and I'm going off what I think he can do for the rest of the season and the playoffs. He's still an elite player. Next we've got Spurs, Keldon Johnson. 17.5 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists with 1 steal. Terrible efficiency.
Oh,
And he's on the Spurs, and actually when I looked at ESPN's depth chart, they don't even have him starting anymore. But he has started the last couple games, so I've kept him on here. I think
like what he can
last
do,
season he was great, but like
honestly,
with every single player on the Spurs, it's all just, hey, all of these guys have potential, but none of them really know how to play together yet. And I like Keldon Johnson. He can be better than this. I think I would put him in like C just because I know he's better than what he's currently doing.
see, I would make an argument right now to move DeAndre Hunter down 1 and put Keldon Johnson possibly like either side of Gordon Hayward.
I'm fine with that.
I just think the 17, 6, and 4, even if the efficiency is bad, you can chalk up the efficiency being bad to having Jeremy Sochan play point guard for your team. You know what I mean? Jeremy
I
switching
think
and playing point guard
when I think
screws
of it,
every part of
I
your team.
probably would rather have Kelton Johnson over Herb Jones. So I'd probably put him, but I would rather have Carousel Vert because he's just more efficient and a better defender.
Yeah, I'm
And
I'm okay with that spot where you put him.
next up, we got Chris Middleton, who's having a pretty big stinker of a year so far, but he was injured and had minutes limits. 15 points, 4.5 rebounds, 5 assists with 1 steal. Actually decently efficient and with a good plus minus. He's been coming back recently as well. He's been on the come up.
Do I think that he is actually worse than Keldon Johnson? No. However, this season so
No,
far,
he's
has he been? Yes.
Well, I think I don't want to take his counting stats into too much consideration because he was on a minutes limit for like the first half of the season.
I can agree with that.
First half of the season so far.
Yeah.
I would put him honestly around where Bogey is.
I think that's a perfect placement for him. Either side.
Yeah,
of
I think below just because Bogey's put up better
Yeah.
stats so far. But
I think you have to remember that Chris Middleton is still good. Like, he's done a lot of things in his career. He's just having a rough start to the year. Jimmy Butler's also having a rough start to the year, and he's still an S. You know what I mean?
yeah, I'd argue B, and if he comes back and continues as he's playing, he could easily move to a low A. Next up, we got Klay Thompson, one of the Splash Bros. 17 points, 3.6 rebounds, 2 assists, half a steal and half a block. Honestly, he's decently low for me just because his main thing has always been hitting the 3. He's been 38% from 3, which isn't amazing.
He had a very rough start to the season, though.
Again, had a very rough start. But
I think he's been picking it up recently. I mean, he shot 5 for 7 in one of his recent games
I would still argue.
from 3.
I mean, like 4 games ago, he went 1 of 11 from the field.
Yeah.
He has had some real bad games.
The Warriors in general have had a rough season.
Yeah, not enough
He's
big men, I
very
think, is the issue.
patchy. Very patchy. I would put him very close to Chris Middleton.
I could see that.
I was gonna say pick a
I
side
think
of Allen. I was gonna say pick a side of Grayson Allen.
Yeah, he's more than a role
I
player.
agree with that.
He's more than
I
a role
would go
player. He
above
deserves
Grayson
B tier.
Allen, but
I would put him below Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen's just
I
much
think
more
I would
efficient than he
too.
is. Grayson Allen's just much more efficient than he is this year, so I got it.
I'm gonna annoy a couple Warriors fans with that one.
Happily.
Fuck the
I think
Warriors.
Happily.
Klay Thompson at this point.
Next up, we got Lou Dort, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 1 block. He's again a very good defensive player. He reminds me exactly again of Herb Jones and Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah, I think he's a C tier role player.
Basically the same as them.
I think he's better than them, though. I think.
I would put him possibly.
Yeah, I think that's a good spot for him, because he's a really good defender and he's shooting the 3 ball decently well, and I think he's just pretty decent. You know what I mean?
He just hasn't gotten as many minutes as you would hope for with him, but again, that's not his fault. Next up, we got Michael Porter Jr., never swing the rock. 16 points, 7 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 0.4 steals, and about a block. Hitting about 40% from 3, so not too bad, and a really good plus minus. But again, he's on the Nuggets.
I think this is one of the better rebounding small forwards we've seen so far.
He's also
He
a core
absolutely
part of
is.
the Nuggets, though, so you can't just say he's on the Nuggets. He is
I'd be putting
one of the
him
main players. I think he's better than Chris Middleton. I think I would put him better than Bobby.
I'll be fully honest. I would put him A tier.
I think he might belong up there.
Bottom of it?
I think he might be an A tier.
Is he? I don't think he's better than Franz Wagner, though. I love me some Wagner, right? I don't care if he shoots inefficiently from 3.
I was gonna say the efficiency alone. I think.
The efficiency, in my opinion, puts MPJ above him and possibly in A tier.
Yeah.
I think it's A tier. He's good. He's a good rebounder. He's good from
But
three.
I would say
He scores
DeRozan's
pretty
still
well.
slightly ahead of him just because of.
I think
Is
skill.
he the
Jordan has a big edge
best?
on him.
Is he the best rebounder on this list?
He might be.
Probably.
Maybe
depends what-
Scotty Barnes would challenge him, but like I'd
What-
still go with Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah,
What does Paul George put up?
we'll figure that out when we
Not
get
as
there.
many.
Paul George doesn't get that many rebounds.
Next we got Mikal Bridges, who puts up 21 points, 5.2 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 0.8 steals, and 0.4 blocks. He has been very inefficient this year, but we do know his potential from last season.
I think last season was a little insanity run. I think he's regressed to who he really is, which he's a 20-point per game scorer. He won't really ever be that efficient though.
But
I
when you
think
look
this
at
is
his
the real him.
stats,
I think this is the
when you
real
look
him.
at his stats, he's definitely B tier, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I would put him high B.
I would say he reminds me a lot of. I
He's
would
better
say
than Bobby. He's better than
better
Bobby.
than Bogey because he rebounds better and he's a little bit of a. Bogey's like the probably second or third option on his team when everyone's healthy. Mikal's always the number one option.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we got a guy that was just involved in a trade, OG Anunoby. He's been pretty good since he's come to the Knicks.
Only undefeated since he came to the
I think
Knicks.
the stat was, I'm pretty sure they're undefeated, and also stat was he has the best he is the only player to be above a plus minus of 100 on the first 5 games with a new team.
And it was
So he is
111,
making
right?
a good 111, I think. Yeah. So he's making a really positive impact. 14 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1.5 steals, 0.2 blocks.
I mean,
I'm a huge Anunoby believer.
he is legitimately first in the entire league right now in plus minus at 22.2.
Only
He's
player in the
also
20s.
got 54% from the field and 45.5% from 3.
Will be hella
He's
efficient.
putting up very similar numbers to Grayson Allen, but the defense is ridiculous, off the charts. But I still can't see him in A tier.
Really?
He's a very front
I
of B
just-
tier then.
I think
Yeah,
he's
I
not
think
A
he's
tier?
very front of B tier. Because like he
I
just
can't
he
see him
might,
on that A
he,
tier level.
he might be efficient, but he scores like a role player. He doesn't score like a star, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't shoot that much.
Is that partially
seems-
because he's still settling into a new offense, though?
And
Well, he also
also
didn't
he
shoot
is
that
the
much
third
on
option
the
this
Raptors
offense.
though.
Okay.
He's
Like,
I would say
He's
I would
better than
honestly say
Wagner.
better than France for now.
Yeah.
France will get better than him, and I can't put him on the same level as Michael Porter Jr. They're just A tiers, a different step above. Now we've probably got another guy that's going to go quite decently up the list. Paul George. 23 points, 5.6 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 1.6 steals, and 0.4 blocks on 46% field goal and 40.9% 3-point, and shooting above 90% from the free throw line. In my opinion, he's S tier.
I know I'm Heat biased, but I would put Paul George as the number 1 player on this list.
Honestly, yeah,
I
you're
think
not
he
wrong.
is the best.
When I look at
best.
everyone left, he's better than everyone left that we've got to rank, in my opinion.
I think either we're overrating this guy or underrating Mikal Bridges because their numbers are very similar, except
Yes,
for
but-
efficiency from 3-point.
Paul George is a lot more efficient and plays better defense,
He's not that much more efficient except for 3-point.
but he plays.
Yeah,
a
but
lot better
he
defense.
also
He's 10th in the
isn't the
league in
number 1
steals.
option on his team though.
I'd
has to-
argue
he has
he's
to
even.
bird
I
around
think he's better than Jimmy.
Stars.
I think he's better than
He's-
Jimmy.
That's
He's
true.
better than Jimmy
He
this
is
year,
kind of on a
I would
super
say.
team. Well,
Yeah.
an old washed
But then
super team.
he's Jalen Brown.
I think
Like-
he is better than. I think he is number 1 on the list, but I think Mikal Bridges should be moved up.
I've been watching Mikal Bridges this year. He doesn't look the same that he did last year. There's something wrong with him. He's not comfortable. He's
I
not
want
the
to
same
say.
guy.
So
I
next
mean-
guy on the list,
It doesn't.
Scotty Barnes.
Yeah.
21, 8.6 rebounds, 5.7 assists, 1.4 steals, 1.4 blocks. 48% from the field and 38% from three. This is one of my sleeper guys. I put him as a starter in the All-Star game. I think, even though I've taken the under on his rebounds and assists these last couple games and hit, I would put him in S tier.
S is a little much.
I'm
S
putting
is-
him in S tier.
I would put
I
him
think
as the
he's better than
highest
Desmond
player
Bain.
in A. I'd
And
put
I
him as the
think-
highest player in A tier, but
I think
he's
he's
not
only
better than
slightly
Jalen
worse
Brown.
than Jalen
He's
Brown.
not better than Jimmy Butler. He's not on their level.
Nah,
He's
A
not.
tier is where he belongs.
I think he is. I think he's been a top 20 player this season.
That's
Yeah, but he also runs his own team though. Jalen Brown doesn't run his own team. Jimmy Butler's been hurt all year, and Paul George is on a super team.
AJ, your decision. What do you think? Top of A
I
or
think
bottom of
him and Jalen Brown are very comparable, but I think he is slightly worse.
A? Alright.
And I do mean slightly.
Just for the record, for everyone watching this, I would put him in S tier.
He doesn't belong
next
there.
guy.
But okay.
F.
Fotoshino from the from the Jazz. 9 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 0.7 steals.
F.
Efficient from 3. Hear me out.
Smasher,
F.
I'm... Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, every single person that just heard you say his name that isn't a Jazz fan simultaneously went, who?
Next up we got Tim
I knew who
Hardaway.
he was before this, but he's also not very good. So.
Well, I think he's only a second-year player, isn't he? He's really
Yeah,
young
probably.
still. Tim Hardaway, 17 points, 3.6 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 0.4 steals, 0 blocks. Again, inefficient, very inefficient.
I would put him right next to Keldon Johnson. I think their stats are pretty
Wow,
comparable,
no.
especially their efficiencies. He will probably win Sixth Man of the Year this year. He's not bad. Like, he's really not bad.
Look at those stats, though. Like, he does not shoot well.
Now does Keldon Johnson.
Honestly, below Bojan.
No, whoa,
What?
no.
No,
No
what?
way is he in B
What?
tier. No way is he in B tier. I
would
was
put him-
gonna argue for high D tier, so like
Put him right next to Keldon, man. They're same thing.
I
They're both
Ludort's
just
better.
inefficient. If Ludort's
I'd-
better than Tim
I'd
Hardaway,
be-
then Ludort's also better than Keldon Johnson.
Oh, no, you're right. Never mind. I was way the yeah, no.
Yeah.
I rescind my statement.
You know what? Now I'm thinking about it. Does everyone agree with this? Tim Hardaway here, and then Keldon here.
I think you should put Ludort ahead of both of them. Because
Okay.
they're
Yeah,
I'll
Ludor
agree with that.
in front.
Because yeah, looking at it, I suppose. Also, Tim Hardaway's doing it off the bench when Keldon's doing it as well. Actually, Tim Hardaway's listed as a starter, so whether he comes off the bench or starts doesn't matter. I think he's better than Keldon Johnson.
Yeah.
He's having to compete with Luka and Kyrie for shots. Like,
Yeah.
you got to be taking good shots to compete with them. Next we got Tobias Harris. 17.4 points, 6.2 rebounds, 3.1 assists, 1 steal, and half a block. He's been better from the field this year, but worse from 3. Still shooting well from the free throw and good plus minus, but he is on the Sixers. One of the main guys on the Sixers, but. And in
Yeah,
my opinion, he's very close. I'd be putting him. I think he's a worse bogey.
I think I would put him right next to Chris Middleton. I think they're both very similar players. They're both in very similar parts of their careers. They're both just trying to win a championship before it's over. You know what I mean?
Yes. No, I think that's a good spot for him.
I'm comfortable with him anywhere between Boji and Clay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Torian Prince. 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, half a block. Very inefficient from the field, but decently efficient from 3. Awful from the free throw line. James, you're the Lakers fan here. What do
I
you
do not
think?
like Torian Prince. I'm not gonna lie. I think he might be a D tier.
I would be advocating for D,
I was
and
fully
honestly,
expecting James to say F, and I would not have been mad about it.
He
I
might be
was gonna,
another F.
I might. I'm honestly going to advocate for Harrison Barnes to move down one and Torian Prince to be bottom of D.
I don't know. Torian
Yeah.
Prince just has some real awful games sometimes.
Sometimes,
Well,
most of the time.
That's because he's just a 3-point shooter. He's just a streaky 3-point shooter. That's all he is.
Yeah.
It's just that steal makes me. He's all right at defense. Why am I
Not
arguing this?
really.
I don't like Torian Prince. I'm putting him in F.
You know what?
Why am I
Fuck
arguing
Torian
this?
Prince.
I don't really like him. He's a bit of a bum. He can go down there. Next up,
Can we just-
I don't think there's
can we
much
just
of an argument here.
Can we just put this next guy in F and move on?
7.5, 7.5, 1.1, and 0.5 on 40% field goal, 30% 3-point, 67% free throw. I am happy to say that he's the worst player on this list. Worst for
Yeah.
last.
He's not even supposed to be in the NBA. He's supposed to be a G leaguer. I don't know why he's playing.
He is bad. Before we finish this up, does anyone want to make any adjustments? Move someone up or down?
I think I'm pretty comfortable where everyone is. Torian Prince could be a D tier just based on some of the games he has, but honestly, F tier. He's ruining LeBron's legacy.
Fuck him.
I would like to point 1 point here, now that we're looking at it. What are everyone's thoughts of possibly putting OG up to an A?
No.
No.
No? Alright.
No.
I don't
That
think
means a
so.
bum.
That'll be it. James, you want to send us out?
Yeah, make sure to go check out our other tier list videos on the channel. Click the links in the description to follow us on all our social medias, and thank you for watching.